Okay, so the last problem on homework 4.8. No calculator. Find the cosine of 7 pi over 6. Well, you guys had a quiz with a problem like this on it. Cosine 7 pi over 6. Who remembers what we do first? Change it into degrees by putting in 180 right there. So that is going to come out to be 210 degrees. All right, what's the next thing we do? We make our triangle, but be careful, it's confusing. Now we're doing a math problem, not a directional problem, navigation problem. We're doing a math problem. So this is our label on a math problem. So where is 210? Here? I make my triangle. Remember, the triangles we draw are always with bow ties. So there it is. And then I gotta figure out this angle right here. And I'm not gonna make it hard. It's the angle between 180 and 210. Well, how big is the angle from 180 to 210? 30. And then we remember that that's special. And across from the 30 is 1. Hypotenuse is 2. Other side is 3. And then some of us forgot on our quiz, what do we have to remember at this point? We stop and say, wait a second, there's negatives. There's always negatives unless you're here. So what's negative? 1 is definitely negative because it's down. Root 3 is also negative because it's left. The 2 is never negative because it's the hypotenuse and it's always positive. Okay, so what's the cosine? Got a great picture drawn. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so negative root 3 over 2. All right, and then we've got sine 3 pi over 2. Same kind of problem. What's step 1? Is going to come out to be 270. What's a little special about 270? It's right here, right? So it's on a line. So I'm going to have to draw a circle. And the circle is going to have a radius of 1. Which means this point right here is what? 0, negative 1. Very, very good. This is your x. This is your y. From that point, straight down. 0, negative 1. Now I'm doing sine. Y over r. So y over r is negative 1 over 1, which is negative 1. So the sine of 270 is negative 1. Okay? Alright, do not turn that in. Mark that down as do not turn in. Because I just did it. So you can all get credit for that if you are here. Otherwise, it is due, let's say Thursday's due Monday. Okay? For those people who are here. All right, let's get our practice tests out. And let's start reviewing. focused. Here we go. Change 3 pi, oh, this is easy. Change 3 pi over 5 into degrees. We just did that as part of the other problems. How do you change that into degrees? Put in 180. So what is that? Someone else. Is that 108? Right, you have, for this part of the test where it says no calculator, that's the whole first page, front and back, you'll have a baby, tell you what you're doing. Alright, changing the radians. Okay, now this one's a little bit different. Who remembers, I haven't done this in a long time, who remembers how to change that into radians?
It's like 2 fractions.
You set up a proportion. So we say pi over 180 equals x over 250. This never changes. 250 is a degree, so it's going to go on the bottom with the 180. Now you'll cross multiply, so 180x equals 250 pi. And you'll divide and reduce. Now the zeros will cancel. And I think 25 and 18 reduce, so 25 pi over 18 is our answer. Remember doing that? What does the test look like? So you need to be able to do that. All right, now we have an arc. So remember, this is an arc. Now what do we know? We need to find that arc. I don't know what that is. I know the radius is 10, and I know the angle is 40 degrees.
S equals theta arc.
So arc equals radius times radians, or if you're using the official formula, S equals theta r, or the way I wrote it, r theta. Radius times angle. This is how I remember it, but this is the official formula. Now, I'm trying to find my arc, alright? I'm trying to find my arc. So I don't know what that is, but I do know my radius is 10. Now, don't put 40 degrees here, because theta, the angle, must be in radians. So what am I going to have to do? What I just did. Yeah. So pi over 180 equals something. Use a different letter here. Equals something over 40. So I'll cross multiply and divide. Reduce that fraction to what? 2 pi over 9? This happens all the time. Someone will put that in the answer blank. That is not the answer. What is that? That is the radian measure of the angle. So now I have to take that 2 pi over 9 and put it into my formula. Radius.
Pardon the interruption. At this time, we need all file members who are seen in the math to report to the Loans Activity Center. Thank you very much.
So if that's you, go. Right, make sure you watch the rest of the video so you're caught up. So radius times radians. Does everybody understand that this was like background work in order to get the number for my formula? So now I multiply. So it's going to be 20 pi over 9. I multiply straight across. Inches, and that's my answer. How long is the arc? 20 pi over inches. 20 pi over 9 listed there for you. If the tangent, yep, see ya. Don't forget your cereal. If the tangent is 1/2, so that they give me. And of course, that automatically means that the cotangent will be 2/1. Right? Now I gotta find all the rest of them. So what is your idea? What is your thought? Draw a picture. Now, pay attention. Where am I going to draw the picture? They tell me in the problem exactly where to draw it. What does it say? Theta is between 180 and 270. See that? So what does that mean? I'm right here. This is my triangle. Between 180 and 270. That's another way of saying quadrant 3. The tangent is opposite over adjacent. Does that look okay to you? But what? Be careful. They're both negative, aren't they? You don't see a negative in this problem because they cancel each other out, right? But they're there. The negatives are there. All right, what comes next? Pythagorean theorem. So 2 squared plus 1 squared is c squared. I'm trying to find my hypotenuse. So 4 plus 1. It looks like c is the square root of 5. Right? Is that a college sweatshirt? All right, now what? I'm ready to answer the questions. So what's sine? -1/5. I'm going to jump down and do cosecant because it's the reciprocal, so that would be -5/1. What's cosine? -2/5, which means the secant is -5/2. And there we go. A lot of points right there, a lot of answers. They're all easy, but they hinge on drawing the picture correctly. Make sure you draw your picture. All right, any questions about that? Right now we've got some problems exactly like the ones we just had on the homework. Our special angles. So while I'm getting them all written down, take a second, see if you can get started finding the exact value. And there's actually 6 of them. There's a couple on the back side too. So let's see if we can find the exact value. How far did you get with a cosine 3π/4? Did you get anywhere with that? What is that? Cosine 135? Can everybody get 135? All right, and you know where that is then? That would be right over here. This is 135, between 90 and 180. So here is our butterfly bow tie triangle. And then I'm gonna figure out, right there, what is between 135 and 180? What angle is between 135 and 180? 45? You guys, on the no calculator card, they're all gonna be 45, 30, or 60, okay? Because those are the only ones you can do without a calculator. What do we know about a 45, 45, 90 triangle? 1, root 2. Is anything in that picture negative? That one right there, left. This is not negative, that's up. That's always positive, so we're gonna worry about that one. All right, what's cosine? Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so negative 1 over root 2. Got it? All right. Anybody get this far? I know I didn't give you a ton of time. Anybody get 5 pi over 6? What is 5 pi over 6? 150. So actually, isn't 150 in the same quadrant? Drop my perpendicular down, make my triangle. But how big now is this angle, the one on one? Now think, before you say anything, think, you've got to be able to figure that out. 150, 180. How big is that? 30. I'm gonna hand those quizzes back, probably Monday, and some of you are gonna be amazed at, I don't know what you were thinking, that's a 30 right there, 30. So we know across from the 30 is a 1. Hypotenuse is 2, other side is root 3. Anything negative in that one? Root 3. Find the tangent. What's tangent? 1 over negative root 3. How do we feel about that, okay? Are we following along? All right, sine pi, what's pi? What's 180? Uh-oh. 180 is over here. So we draw a circle with a radius of 1. What are the coordinates of that point? Here's the origin. I'm coming straight over 1. Negative 1 comma 0. So x is negative 1 and y is 0 from the point x, y. What sign? Y over r. So y over r will be 0 over 1, and 0 over 1 is 0. 0 is on top, it's 0. Secant 5 pi over 3. I'm gonna call on someone here. Chase,
Yeah.
5 pi over 3.
300.
Thank you. Very good. So we're finding the secant of 300. Perfect. Stephanie, which quadrant is 300 in? Where will I draw 300? The fourth quadrant. The fourth quadrant. Very good. After 270? so 360. So I need an angle that's formed by 300 and 360? 60 degrees? Are we good with that, everyone? Across from the 60 is the root 3, as the 30 gets to 1, and the hypotenuse is 2. Angles, what's negative in that picture? Yeah, root 3 is the only thing that's negative, right? 1 isn't negative because it's going right. Root 3 is negative because it's going down. 2 is never negative because it's the hypotenuse. I want the secant. Secant is reciprocal of cosine. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So secant will be hypotenuse over adjacent. Positive 2. All right, backside, still no calculator. All right, now these are different. Okay? When do I use this notation? That's a button on my calculator, but the only time I use that button is when I'm trying to figure out what? An angle. The answer to this question is going to be an angle. Right? I need to figure out which quadrant that angle is in. You do not have to have this memorized, but it should be on your green sheet. Where do I draw an inverse sign when that number is negative? 4. So my job is to find an angle. That's what these notations mean. I'm going to find an angle. And the first thing I have to figure out is where is that angle? Remember, if that number is positive, it's always in quadrant 1. But if it's negative, we have those rules that you wrote down on your green sheet. Now, what do I know about this angle? Well, I know his sine is root 3 over 2. So would this be root 3 and this be 2? You okay with that, guys? And that would make this a 1. Actually, this is negative root 3. But remember, my job is to find the angle. So tell me about this angle right here. How big is that when it's across from the root 3? 60. But I can't say 60 because 60 would look like this, wouldn't it? This isn't positive 60, this is actually negative 60 because it's 60 degrees coming down instead of going up. So the answer to the problem is negative 60 degrees. This would be positive 60 if I were plotting one. All right, now we got the same issue. We're going to find an angle. I got to figure out where to draw it. This time it's an inverse cosine and it's negative. Where is that? 1 second. Remember, you do not need to memorize these rules. It's on your green sheet, so we're using that right now. If I take the green sheet away from you, then I will tell you this is in quadrant 2. Okay? Here we go. Now, what do I know about that angle? I know it's cosine, which is adjacent over hypotenuse, is 1 over root 2. It's actually a negative 1. Which would make this other side a positive 1. which would make this how big of an angle? 45. Perfect. Now, if you write 45 down in the answer blank, it'll be wrong, because a 45-degree angle looks like this. Would you agree with me? If you say negative 45, you will be wrong, because that would look like this. I need this angle right here. I need the angle that makes a 45 in quadrant 2. Okay? It's not this one, and it's not this one. It's this one right here. So anybody have an idea how big that angle is? I heard it. 135. Now, for those of you that don't get it, somebody explain, how did we know that was 135 degrees right there?
9 plus 45.
Supplement.
We know that this is 180, right? And we backed up 45? Or, if that's 45, this is also 45. This gets a little dicey. That angle is a part of the triangle, so I don't like to use it, but it is 45 degrees. So 90 and another 45 would be 135. As long as you can come up with 135, you're good. That's the answer to the question. This one was negative 60, because it's right there. This one's over here, I gotta get over there. All right. Number 6. Very scary problem. What does this mean right here? That means sine is positive. And what's sine again? What's the other one? Y over R. So what this is telling me is y is positive. Sine is associated with y over r. So whatever sine is, y is. Cotangent is negative. What is cotangent? X over y. Very good. So x over y is negative. That's what this is telling me. This literally says y is positive. This says x over y is negative. Now let's think about this for a minute, guys. Don't we already know this is positive? So if that's positive, but the fraction has to be negative, what does that mean about x? It has to be negative? So where is x negative and y positive? Where does that happen? X is negative and y is positive. Right here. Quadrant 2. So the answer to the problem is quadrant 2. Do not tune me out. That's a test question. You've got to be able to figure it out. We'll practice some more, but a couple more times. But you don't just stop thinking. You have to think. All right, let's get our pictures done as much as we can anyhow. This was yesterday's quiz, which, some of you did great. Some of you didn't prepare quite enough, but let's go through it. The y equals 2/3 cosine 1/4 x. You're going to draw the picture just like you did on the quiz. You're going to list the period and the amplitude. All right? So first of all, do we know the shape? This is a cosine. Cosines start up here. There's half the hill. There's the valley. And there's the other half of the hill. That's what your cosine looks like. Now we're going to label y-axis, and that's the easy one, because wouldn't that just be 2/3 and negative 2/3?
Yeah.
Your amplitude is 2/3. Now, I need to label where I cross, the bottom, where I cross, and the end. Normally, those would be labeled like this, and I'm going to write it down here at the bottom so it's out of the way. Some of you are writing it up here. Nuh-uh, I want the answers up here. I know that in this problem, those regular labels are going to be divided by 1/4. Divided by a 4th is the same as 90 times 4, which is 360. You can do the same math for all of these, because these are all divided by 4th. Or you can remember that if that's 360, this will be another 360. So I'll just add, and then another 360, and another 360. It doesn't matter how you do it, you guys. You're either going to do all of these divisions and get those numbers, or you can just keep adding 360 in this case, because that's 360. Add 360 all the way down the line. So what's my period? 1,440 degrees. One more, that's all we're gonna have time for, we'll do one more. This is an easy one. What about that 2? What do I do with that 2? Actually, I do nothing with that 2, because the tangent has no amplitude. This is a regular tangent curve. Asymptotes at negative 90 and 90 and goes up through the origin. Make sure you're going through the origin. So your period is 180. Haven't changed anything on that one. All right, we are going to church when it's time here. I need you listen carefully to where we're sitting. We're sitting over in the freshman section, you know, when they sit in pep rallies, that back corner. And we're sitting in the first 3 rows from the floor. All right, so freshman section, first 3 rows from the floor. No coats, take your coats off. Not going to church with coats, just no coats. No coats, no coats. Going to church. When's our test? I'm not sure. All right, let's go. We're going to church. Behave yourselves. No coats. You're going to be packed in. You're going to keep warm.